let's go ahead. Oh, wow. Okay, so who wants to read the Parsha Vaetchanן? Let's read quickly through and see what goes on, okay?
Okay.
I can read it first.
Okay.
Chaf Gimel.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Okay, ואתחנן אל השם בעת ההיא לאמור, Adonai Hashem atah hachilota.
No, it's Adonai Elohim. Stop. It's Adonai Elohim. Look at the you see or E?
Yeah.
That's what it means. You have to read Adonai Elohim.
Elohim atah.
It's not Yud Kei Vav Kei. The first one is, it's a different kind of relationship between man and God in this case. Adonai Elohim. It's a very peculiar way of. Anybody want to guess what that Elohim stands for? If it's Yud Kei Vav Kei?
Midat Hadin.
Within Midat Hadin and Midat Rachamim simultaneously. See it? It's a Yud Kei Vav Kei and it's O E. Take a look. You see the nukudot?
Yep.
O E. Elohim. You see it?
Hi, Chavs.
Hi, Sabs.
Who is that?
Javi.
Oh, Javi came in. I don't see her.
I'm right here. I turned on my camera. Can you see?
You have to swipe on your phone, Saba. Or your computer.
Hi, Daphne. Hi, Hoovy.
I'll stop the share for
Hi.
Oh, there I see him. Yeah.
Hi, Sabs.
Javi, I don't see your face. Oh, there you are. Good. Okay. All right. So, ואתחנן אל השם בעת לאמור. Go ahead.
Adonai Elohim. Oh, here.
Yeah.
Elohim atah hachilota leharot et avdecha, et gadcha v'et yadcha, hachazka asher mi'el v'shamayim ha'aretz asher yaseh k'maasecha v'ki gevuratecha.
Okay, so basically that's relatively easy to understand, except the idea of Elohim being a Yud Kei Vav Kei and pronounced Yud Kei Vav Kei pronounced Elohim. Okay, what is that? What is it asking for?
Nothing yet.
Yeah, no, no. Ebrana.
Oh. Evrana ve'ere. Sharida?
Yeah, go.
את הארץ הטובה אשר בעבר הירדן, ההר הטוב הזה והלבנון.
Go ahead.
ויתעבר השם בי למענכם ולא שמע אליי. ויאמר השם אליי, רב לך, אל תוסף דבר אליי עוד בדבר הזה.
You want to translate that? Pasuk?
I don't know what ויתעבר means.
Right, very good. Okay, we actually, you should know, because remember in the Haggadah, Evra v'za'am, remember that? Evra v'za'am, anger. And that's the way Onkelos translates it. Vayitaber Hashem bi lema'anchem. Very peculiar. So what's God's reaction?
He doesn't listen.
He's angry. It's interesting that it's the same term as Ebrana. Vayitaber Hashem.
Good. Oh, hold on. You're way ahead of me. Yeah. Let's just read. Hold on. Vayitaber, you're way ahead of me. Okay. Vayitaber Hashem bi lema'anchem. So what do you think is going on here? Anybody? There's a message. If you read carefully, Hashem got angry because of you. So I'm asking, Hashem is angry. V'lo shama elai. V'ayom Hashem elai, rav lach, al tosef daber elai od b'davar hazeh. Okay? Don't talk. Ale rosh ha'pisgah, ושא עיניך ימה בצפון לתימן מזרח ובעיניך כי לא תעבור את הירדן הזה וסב יהושע וחזרו הוא יעבור לפני העם הזה הוא ילכו לדבר על שם. Okay, that's the end of the story. Who wants to translate the first word? ואתחנן.
I begged.
Beg, right. It's a very interesting thing about that. So Rashi has a fascinating reaction to this. The word comes from the word chinam. For free. Now that I want to show you something very, very fascinating that troubled me for years. And hopefully finally we get that now that my grandchildren are on the phone. I want everybody to go now to Vayishlach in what do you call it? In Bereshit. What's going on? Oh, you do. Oh, I see. Perek Lamed Bet, Pasuk Yud. Did anybody else come in?
What'd you say?
Did anybody else come in?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. I hear a male voice.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
just the
Yaakov's talking in the background.
Oh, okay.
I'll close the door.
That's okay. All right. So Vayomer, listen up. Vayomer Yaakov, Elohei Aviv Abraham ve'Avi Yitzchak, Hashem Amer Elai Shuv L'Atzacham Al Mahatirah, Katonti mikol hachasadim umikol haemet asher asit avdecha, ki b'makli avarti et Yarden hazeh ve'ata hayiti lishnei machanot. What does katonti mikol hachasadim mean?
Like humbled,
Sorry?
like humbled.
Katonti mikol hachasadim.
Yeah, like undeserved.
Undeserved. Yeah, I think that's the simplest way of explaining it. Yeah. Katonti mikol hachasadim. Now let me ask you a question. I come to your house, I knock on the door and say, I'm very hungry. Could you give me something to eat? Yes, come on in. I come the next day and I say, can I have something to eat? You say, sure, come on in. Come the third day. Can you ever say to me, hey, it's enough. I'm giving you too many chasadim. Is that a reasonable way to go? I'm hungry. You can tell me I don't have any more food in my house. But as long as I have food, you don't have food. I mean, how can you tell somebody, katonti mikol hachasadim? What is the idea that you say to me, I don't deserve chesed? Do you ever deserve chesed? I mean, chesed is chesed. I'm going to leave it. Chesed is chesed. And it troubled me very much all the years. How is it that at katonti mikol hachasadim? So now, I want you to go up and to see in Kitisa.
Kitisa.
Very interesting thing. What the hell is that?
Do Parsha and then okay.
It's Pashal Kitisa. One minute.
It's a really cool site.
I want you to go to Perek Lamed Dalet, please. Pasuk Vav. It's a very famous pasuk. We all know it. Vayavor Hashem al panav vayikra. Hashem. Everybody there?
Mm-hmm.
Kel rachum v'chanun, erech hapayim v'rav chesed v'emet. Everybody knows pasuk, right? We say that in Slichos. If you have Rashi, I want you to look at the fantastic translation of Chesed is. Who wants to read that? Rav Chesed.
I could read it.
Go.
1 second. Okay. Litzrichim chesed she'in lahem zechuyot kol kach.
What is Rashi did? Rashi has a whole new definition of Chesed. Chesed is not that I come to you because I'm asking as a favor. Chesed is like this. Shani, last week I cleaned your driveway.
Thank you.
Could you please come over and fix my car? Okay, sure. 2 days later, I say, Shani, remember last year I fixed your driveway? Could you fix my air conditioning? Shani, remember last year, could you fix my my roof? Chesed seems to be something I deserve in a certain respect. I did something for you. And after a while, Shani said, you know what? That's very nice that you did it, but I'm not going to go on the roof and fix your roof for that. Read the Rashi again, Ahuva. Read the Rashi again.
Yeah. Litzrichim chesed she'in lahem zechuyot kol kach.
Kol kach. That's the clue of what Rashi is saying. Now we understand what Yaakov is saying. Katonti mikol hachasadim asher asita imadi. I'm not. This is a chesed aspect. Whatever it is, I did whatever I did. I davened 3 times a day, whatever. But there comes a point where I'm asking for so much. You say, you don't deserve that kind. So Rashi translate the word chesed not the way we normally translate we translate as a chesed that we did X and HaKadosh Baruch Hu does more than we deserve. But Yaakov says, look, there comes a point where maybe I don't deserve anymore. Now let's go back to Vaetchanan. Look at the word Vaetchanan. This is an amazing thing. Who wants to read Rashi's Vaetchanan?
I'll read it.
Go.
אין חינון בכל מקום, אלא לשון מתנת חינם.
Matnat chinam. This is not chesed. I'm asking for free. I did not, Shani, I didn't clean your driveway last year. I didn't do anything. I'm just asking totally and completely chinam. It's a magnificent concept. Chesed is a certain thing. Chesed lalafim. God does much more than I deserve. But there's some elements of deserving. Vaetchanan, I'm asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu completely. Chinam. I don't deserve anything. Now watch Hashem's answer. Vayomer Hashem Elai, who wants to read that? Ravlach. Go ahead.
Where are you?
Pasuk Chafad.
כף ב'?
Chavav, yeah, and Vaetchanan.
ויאמר השם אליי רב לך, אל תוסף דבר אליי עוד בדבר הזה.
What's going on here? What does he say to him? I'm asking you for free. Give me, I don't deserve a thing. Vaetchanan, chinam. And Hashem vayitaber bi. It got angry, but lema'anchem, a lot of interesting. And then he says, Rav lach, al tosef daber badazai hazeh. Don't talk anymore. What else can Moshe Rabbeinu say? What did I ask you so far?
You could say, I mean, the kind of like regular or whatever, standard reading is Moshe could say, I don't deserve it. And then he could come and say, I deserve it, God, give it to me.
Exactly. Now I asked about Hanan. Ravlach, don't go the next step. The next step will be what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I waited 40 years. Just give me a wing to cross into the ocean, into Israel.
Right.
Ravlach, please don't go ahead the next step, because if you ask me for wages, so to speak, for 40 years, I'm going to have to give it to you. And I can't give it to you. Why can't I give it to you? Now let's go back and see the pasuk in Chavav. Vayitaber, who wants to read?
In what?
Chavav.
Oh. ויתעבר השם בי למענכם, ולא שמע אליי. ויאמר השם אליי רב לך.
Yeah, we say that, but what is what? Vayitaber, if Vayitaber means the way Uncle said, God got angry, but he got angry l'ma'anchem. What's that all about?
Right. It almost sounds like it's not like in the interest of the Jewish people to have Moshe go into Israel with them.
Exactly. This is what is happening here is a fascinating thing. If you take a look in Pashat Vaetchanan, the word la'avor appears 6 times. E'ebrana, lo ta'avor, Yoshua ya'avor etchem, va'alechu va'ya'avru. The word la'avor over and over and over and over again. What is the message here? There's a reason why Moshe Rabbeinu can't cross. L'ma'anchem. Because Moshe Rabbeinu can only be the leader of that generation. Had you not done what you did, we would have crossed into Eretz Israel 40 years ago. The problem is because what you did, you had to stay in the Midbar for 40 years. Because of that, I cannot cross, because I cannot leave my people. It's like the rabbi doesn't leave the shul until even the shul goes down and nobody's there. It's your people, and you're not there. And I tell you the interesting thing about that. So why doesn't say that Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't cross because of the Meraglim. Because you might think, therefore, that Moshe Rabbeinu was part of the Meraglim's point. So you have this Meriva. Do you really believe that because he hit the rock instead of spoken the rock, or he hit it twice, or he spoke to the? Is that really the thing that stops him from entering Eretz Yisrael? It's an excuse. It's an excuse that he's not part of that same group, but he is part of the same group. Now read the whole thing all over again. Vayitaber Hashem bi lema'anchem. And he says, Al tosef daber ba. Please don't go the next step. Vaetchanan, for free, I can say, you'd come to me with the language of, I deserve it. I have to give it to you, but you can't. Al tosef davar. Don't go any further. So now you have a fascinating thing. And the word avor appears 6 times. And Chavi already touched it a little bit. The next piece I'll give you is a very fascinating thing. Now, it's clear from the way Uncles translate, God got angry from the Evra. Kabbalah is a very fascinating thing. Who knows how you say to uproot in Hebrew?
La'akor.
Yeah?
La'akor.
Another word? L'sharesh. Shoresh is it root? L'sharesh is to uproot. Hashem says, "Lohorish amim mipanecha." What does lohorish panim mipanecha mean? Get rid of the nations. Mazel lareshet b'meshu.
To inherit.
Inherit. In the Hebrew language, you can have a word that is just the opposite of itself. And Chav, you almost said it there, but the way, so like, yeah. What the K'tav Kabbalah says, a fascinating thing. Vayitaber means Hashem did not allow me to cross. K'tav Kabbalah does not translate the word litaber as anger, but not permission to cross. Vayitaber is the same as l'sharesh l'gabei shoresh, as the same l'horish l'gabei Yerusha. Vayitaber Hashem bi. Hashem said, no, I can't let you avoring, if there's such a word. You want to be over, and I say I cannot let you be over. And you may come the next position and ask me to let you cross because you deserve it. And if you say that, I can't say no, but I don't want to say no. So Pashas Etchan is the most beautiful concept of what goes on. It gives you the real answer as to what happened when Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and Miriam could not cross. The Navi for Shaul is Shmuel. The moment David comes into the picture, Shmuel no longer is there. There is God. There are the Naviim. Every generation has its own Navi. Yeshayahu is for Chizkiyahu. Yirmiyahu is for Tzidkiyahu. Every generation. Moshe Rabbeinu, you are part and parcel of those people. You cannot cross when they don't cross. And why? Because they didn't do right. So now you have a situation. You are the leader of the Jewish people. Vayit aber, atalo over. Nifla, no? I mean, yes,
really nice.
Very interesting.
It's a beautiful thing because now we understand how Rashi translated with chesed. Notzer chesed la'alafim. And then there's Vaetchanan with matnat chinam. And Rab al tosef, you cannot have it, you cannot go the next step because if you go the next step, I have to give it to you, and I don't want to give it to you. And Vayitaber, the idea got a little bit there ahead of me, but Vayitaber means not to permit me la'avoring. And that's the beautiful thing I think I'd like to share for this pasha.
Saba, it's interesting because the lema'anchem can be for both generations. You know, it's for the generation of the Midbar because lema'anchem, you know, like Moshe is their leader, he can't leave them, so to speak, because he's the leader of that generation. And lema'anchem for the generation entering Israel because they need to start from scratch and they need to have a fresh start.
Either way you go, yeah. Anyway, I thought it was a very beautiful way to look at this whole thing. Our relationship with, and then Hashem Elokim. Remember, Elokim is spelled Yud K Vav K, but pronounced Elokim. So Moshe Rabbeinu uses the same terminology. He says Elokim, which is Dayan, and Elokim and Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is Rachamim. Let me see how that works out. And Hashem says, no, don't use Elokim here, because Elokim means Din, and by Din you should really cross. You worked for me for 40 years, but at the same time, Yud Kei Vav Kei is a man-to-man, human-to-human relationship with God. And in this case, you can't have it.
Thank you,
Very
Saba.
nice, Sabs.
Yeah, anybody else want to add anything to this?
Oh, so I was going to ask you for at the end, what does the Yud Kei Vav Kei spelled that way? But you just answered it. Why? What is the connection with it?
Because very good. Because if you think Yud Kei Vav Kei, what comes to mind? Rachamim.
Right, yeah.
Man, it's more than Rachamim. It's the man to human. It's God to man relationship. Yud Kei Vav Kei is I can do tshuva. Why can I do tshuva? Because if I change, God changes. Elokim is the man, is the God of justice. I decide to jump off the Empire State Building from 64th flight. On the 32nd flight down, I say, oh God, chatat yaviti, please save me.
Yeah.
Elokim is not going to do that. Because Elokim is a God of nature at that point. Elokim is a dayan, the truth. The truth of the matter is, if you just decide to jump off the roof, you can't do tshuva at that point. Then if you can't do tshuva, God can't change either. In this case, Moshe Rabbeinu used the terminology Elokim. I want to put together midat rachamim and midat din. And Hashem said, "After midat rachamim, okay, but please don't go the next time." Rav lach al tosiv daber aleh. Beautiful.
It's actually
Very nice, Sabs.
it's interesting. Just one more thing. It's interesting that, like, you know, usually the connection of Yud Kei Vav Kei is considered a much closer relationship with God. So the whole din thing makes sense here, that it's, you know, if you put it on a scale, obviously Hashem needs to do it for Moshe, whatever that means. But it's interesting because you would think that the midat rachamim for someone who worked with Hashem for 40 years would also play in here, which, you know, they kind of play off of each other.
And they would, if you ask for it. So
Yeah.
Don't ask for it.
Right.
It's amazing. I mean, this whole thing is like, okay. יפה מאוד, שנשמע בשורות טובות.
Thank you, Sabs.
Rava, Saba.
And you can wish me what Sefi wished me this afternoon. Baruch Rofeh Cholim. I was in the hospital just,
Yesterday.
less than 48 hours ago with the operation. Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu given me the opportunity to learn with my grandchildren.
Saba, when did you get home? Did you stay for Shabbos?
Yeah, I switched. Yeah, they because I was supposed to be discharged Shabbos morning, but obviously I couldn't. So I stayed home to Motzei Shabbat. And Baruch Hashem, thank God.
Good. Are you feeling good?
Baruch Hashem. I mean, thank God. I mean, is it because I'm learning with my grandchildren, or is it because of the? It could be both, right? Rav lach. I don't know what the answer is.
Thank you, Sabs.
I love
Love
you
you
so much. So
so
great.
much.
It's so good. to
Love you,
learn.
Saba.
Nice idea. I think it's beautiful ideas here. Okay.
Beautiful.
Shalom, shalom, lachem shenishma
Bye,
b'shalom
Sabs.
tovot.
Thank you.
And I'm closing
Love
the
you.
virtual. I'm closing the virtual.
Wait, Saba, I want to help you change your name. So on your Zoom. Can I help
Okay.
you with that?